Well, I am so excited for this prompt because we're going to be talking about what manga got me into reading manga. Happy Wednesday, my friends! I'm so very excited that you are here. It is Top 5 Wednesday and it's the first Top 5 Wednesday video of October. How exciting is that? But in case if you're not familiar with Top 5 Wednesday, in a nutshell, Top 5 Wednesday is basically each week we answer a prompt using 5 books, but in this case, I do manga to reflect that said prompt. And today's prompt is books that got you into reading, because I did not know this, but October is sort of a month-long holiday of National Book Month. So today we're just celebrating books that got us into reading. Now, this could be like books that actually got you into reading as you were a kid, or say like you were a super big reader when you were younger, and then like as you got an adult, like you just didn't read, but then you like started reading again, those books that got you back into reading. Or this also could be like genres, like say that you've been an avid reader all your life and you only read say just romance, but then you decide to branch outside of like your favorite genre and discovered new genres and new books in that genre. So it's just really anything goes of books that just got us into reading. Now today I am talking about manga that got me into manga. I am so excited for this video. I feel like it's like a trip down memory lane, and I'm gonna go ahead and kick us off with number 1 being Sailor Moon. Now, Sailor Moon brings back so many memories for me. I loved and adored, admired Sailor Moon so much as a kid. Sailor Mars was my favorite Sailor Scout with, I don't know, I feel like she was my favorite Sailor Scout, but I also feel like I love Sailor Moon more. So I don't know, I feel like it just maybe depended on the day for me when I was a kid. But I remember going to this local bookstore with my grandma growing up. We went, they had Sailor Moon. I didn't know what manga was. I don't remember what volume it was. I've tried looking for it, but I cannot remember what volume it was. But this was many, many years ago, so it's probably like extremely ridiculously hard to find. But I just remember like, oh my goodness, like this is Sailor Moon. She looks just like the cartoon. I know cartoon. I didn't know it was anime, guys. Don't come at me and throw tomatoes. I was like, she looks just like the cartoon. I was like, and it's pictures. It's so many pictures and the art was just so amazing. Again, I don't even know what volume it was, but I still to this day distinctly remember my kid-like feelings of it was a bad guy. I thought he was super attractive, and I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, he's trying to steal Sailor Moon from Tuxedo Mask. And I don't remember what happened with Sailor Moon. I just remember her lying on this bed or this couch, and I don't even remember if Tuxedo Mask came and saved her or not, to be honest, but I do feel that was the key moment in my life where I read my first manga. I read that volume 3 or 4 times. I have zero idea what happened to it. I think I have looked those up. They're sort of like character profiles or something, but they had each of the Sailor Scouts, and I had the Sailor Mars one, and like I said, I've looked it up, and it's like ridiculously expensive to get it. I don't even remember all the things, but I think it just did like a breakdown of the Sailor Scouts, pivotal scenes in the anime that made the character, and then just I think other bonus things I don't remember. But those 2 volumes, oh my goodness, I love them so incredibly much. I have racked my brain like thinking what happened to them. I don't remember donating them. I don't remember just anything that happened. It could be because like when we moved, when I was a kid, when we lived in this one city and then we moved, like we had the movers actually stole some of our stuff. And I remember we lost a lot of our DVDs. We lost a lot of our VHS movies. That's how long ago it was, but we lost a lot of those. So my only guess is that when we moved, because that was after that fact, I don't remember any of that, like those movies or anything. But I can distinctly say that that was the moment that I was introduced to manga, even if I didn't know what it was. And I just remembered, like, I was like, I'm missing one here. If we want to go with number 2, my second encounter that I had with manga that was like, whoa, this is manga, and that is the manga Mars. I read that at my best friend's house, and I do have a video review still coming of Mars. I have not forgotten, friends. I think I'm having it come next month. If not, for sure, guarantee it is coming out in December. But that is another very key moment where I was like, I love manga. This is amazing. I want more. But I I don't know. I left my best friend's house, and I guess because I felt like I didn't know where to get manga, I didn't know where to shop for manga. I still feel like I did not have a firm grasp on what it was. I just sort of equated it with manga equals awesome, and I want more, but I just never did anything. Like, I don't know. I don't know. And I'm sort of shocked because I've talked about this before. Actually, I don't know if I talked about my Fruits Basket manga review that I have, but I know I did share about that story with Pippa in the video that we did. I'll leave a link here, where I chose Mars over Fruits Basket because my best friend had both of them. But I don't know why. Like, looking back, I'm like, well, why didn't I ask her if I could read Fruits Basket? If I was so interested in reading manga after Mars, I was like, why didn't I just think about reading her other series that she had? Because I know for sure she had Mars and Fruits Basket. I don't know if she had other series, but I definitely hands down know for sure that she had both of those. But I can't believe I forgot even about Mars. But I know that that was a very pivotal and key moment for me, where if Sailor Moon was my introduction to manga, and then Mars was realizing this is manga. Even if I didn't know where to go from that, I knew that that was manga. Now, going into number 3, when I knew for sure it was manga and I was asking for manga recommendations, Library Wars. Library Wars, I feel like, is the genuine beginning. I feel like Sailor Moon and Mars are the building blocks, I guess, and then the foundation was Library Wars. I love this series so much. It will always have a very special place in my heart. I plan to reread it, but I just don't know when. I feel like I'm like reading all these other series that I have not read before, and just really I feel like I'm being like a sponge right now and just soaking in all these different series that I just did not know for so many years. I'm like, I want to read them. So Library Wars hasn't been as high on my TBR because I know that I have it. Because when I saw, I don't remember what it was, but when I found out the news that it was starting to go out of print, I bought those volumes up like super quick. And I'm so glad I did, because I know at one of the places I bought it, like one of the volumes, it's super yellow, it's brand new, and I don't know what happened. It's like horrendous. Yeah, it's volume 6. Look at that. Oh, this is pretty yellow too, but when you look at it here, oh, here we go. Look at that! Look how, oh, it's, and I got it new, but I was like, you know what? I'm just thankful to have this series on my shelf, because this was the moment, guys, I got hooked on manga. That key moment is when I started wrestling with, should I read manga or should I read novels? And here we are now, where manga has officially won out. But this series is so very special to me. I mean, I remember just binge reading this series and just having to silence my laughter at night because I was laughing so hard, because I was just having such a great time with these characters. This is such a fun and very enjoyable series that I would highly recommend. It's definitely available digitally. I think you can still get volumes. They're just, some of them are harder to find than others. But Library Wars, I'm so thankful that people talk about this series, especially I see like on Twitter in the shoujo community, because it is a good one. It is so very good, and I'm so glad that I'm not the one who loves Iku and Dojo, because they are one of my ultimate favorite ships. I love them. They are hilarious. Like I said, this series is what got me hooked on manga. I love it so very much. Now for number 4, I do feel like this is another, when I think back, I feel like this is another pivotal moment for me when I got hooked on specifically shoujo manga, and that is Kimi ni Todoke. Oh my goodness, shout out to the Monosloth and his wife. They are so fantastic. I will leave a link to his channel here. I am just so thankful for them, because both of them strongly recommend this series to me, and I think it was 2 years ago. I borrowed all the volumes from my library except for like volume 27 or something, because they didn't have it, and I binge read that series in like 2 or 3 weeks. I felt bad through that whole Christmas break that my kids were on break. I binge read like a mad woman. I was reading volumes here, there, between getting ready for Christmas. I was a reading fool. Like, I could not put this series down, and I just feel like after I read this series, all of the feelings, I mean, for 30 volumes, you are with this couple, and just their ups and downs, their highs and their lows, and all of the drama, and just all of the thought, and just everything. I mean, the emotions that I felt, I feel like are just unforgettable. Like, this series went in deep in my heart and just stuck on me, stuck there. I don't know, I just felt like when I finished this series, I was like, I don't want to stop reading manga. I want to keep going, and I want to know more about shoujo manga, because I felt like this is a classic. Maybe not classic, but I do feel like it is a favorite, and rightfully so. It's a very wonderful series, and if you have not read it, I highly recommend it. I have a video review you of all my ramblings of these characters. They are so very wonderful, and I don't know, I just feel like this was another moment where I just was like, I'm so thankful for manga. I'm not turning back. I'm just diving in deeper to this manga reading world and seeing what other series there are that I have missed out on that I need to read that are iconic and just full of so much heart and emotion. I mean, I just feel like this was maybe like the awakening of so much. I guess I knew that I've loved the romance genre, but I feel like somewhere over time I smushed that down and that it wasn't as important compared to other genres. I don't really know where that comes from, but I feel like Kimi ni Todoke just ripped off all of those lies, all those things I was trying to tell myself that why I can't love romance genre, because this series just showed me like it's amazing. It's powerful. Romance is not this, should not be an underrated genre just because it's centered around love and seems like it's just high school angst. Yes, there's definitely plenty of angst in this series. I'm definitely not saying that, but I feel like it just shows the heart and just, I don't know, it just really spoke to me, especially these two. I love them. They're so fantastic. So I don't know, Kimi ni Todoke, I just feel like deserves to be on this list because it spoke to me in that moment and it continues to, and I just treasure this series so very much. I'm so conflicted for number 5. I don't know. So I don't know. I guess we'll go with this one. We'll go because this was originally on my list. The other one was starting to be an honorable mention. But for number 5, I'm going to say Snow with the Red Hair. And I have not finished reading this series. I've only read up to volume 4. I didn't realize how woefully behind I was until I was looking at my Goodreads the other day. And I was like, you read this back in like 2019. I was like, oh. That's quite a bit of time has passed. But I wanted to say Snow with the Red Hair because when I first heard about this series, well, when I first was getting into manga, I felt like I was just reading contemporary, and I, for whatever reason, was not hooked on fantasy, even though like when it came to novels, I loved and adored reading fantasy. And so I feel like Snow with the Red Hair was a very big moment for me when it was recommended to me and I tried it out and I was like, this is shoujo fantasy. Like something awakened in me, the doors flung wide open of like a whole other genre that I didn't even know was possible. Because I think somewhere around that time, I was just thinking fantasy is just in novels. Don't ask me why I thought that, friends, because I don't know. But I just felt like it was something there and it was just something that wasn't in manga. And then Snow with the Red Hair came along and it had romance as well. And it just felt like a win-win. Like it felt a new discovery of different genres in the manga world that I just did not realize was even possible. So I feel like Snow with the Red Hair should be on this list because of just that sense of awe and that sense of like, wow, I discovered something new. Like there's so much more to manga than just romance or just shoujo. Like there's just, it broadened my horizons. And I feel like that's where I just, again, was just like, there's so much more manga I want to read, even though I'm woefully behind in this series. So hopefully that accurately counts for this prompt. Now, originally, I'm going to be honest, for my honorable mention, I technically was going to say Haikyuu, but I am going to do this one because I do feel like this one plays a very big role in the amount of things I'm reading. And that is, I was reincarnated as the villainess in Otome game, but the boys love me anyway. I do have a video review of this series. I love this series very much. I'm eagerly anticipating my pre-order to come of volume 3. I did this one because I was never on the bandwagon for like the reincarnated villainess or just the villainous genre until I read this series. And I was like, I have been missing out so very much. I love this genre so, oh, it is so good. It is so good. I'm a junkie for it. I have a few different series that I have not read, but I am collecting that are the villainous because I just love it. I love how the villainess is in this place where she has to redefine this whole role that has been basically pre-set up for, but in a negative way. Like I am a junkie for that. I love seeing that, throw in the romance, and usually how it's not just super simple. I feel like there's a few series that are, but what I mean is like, in this case, it's an Otome game. There's a bunch of boys that want her attention, and I love how our main girl just addresses that and how she handles that. So I feel like this is a really good one for getting me into the villainous genre because I love it so very much. I have been anticipating getting Seventh Time Loop, but I have not officially ordered it. But I really want to read that one because supposedly that is another loosely villainous, reincarnated kind of story. But my battery is going dead, so I'm going to wrap wrap up this series. I hope that you guys loved my picks. This was so much fun. It's just, like I said, a trip down memory lane, and it makes me so happy for manga, for the manga community, for you guys, for recommendations. It is such a special thing to be a manga reader, to be a reader in general, and I'm so thankful that just October is National Book Month, that we can celebrate those books that have got us into reading that we absolutely love. But I would love to hear from you, friends. What are some books that got you into reading, whether it's manga or novels? I would love to hear from you, friends. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. Bye!